Hare Krishna. On behalf of ISKCON Chapati, I would like to welcome all of you for this online Tirth Yatra. As such, Tirth Yatras have been going on since ancient times, and people have been visiting various holy places for spiritual upliftment. And interesting thing is that even in the past, this online Tirth Yatra also happened. So I believe that first time when it happened was done by Sanjaya during the time of Battle of Kurukshetra, when he narrated the complete scene, what is happening on the Teesthal of Kurukshetra, as we say, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. So Sanjaya narrated whole story of that battle to Dhritarashtra, and that was a kind of first Tirth Yatra which happened in the past, which online was not broadcasted through internet, but through a special potency which Sanjaya got by the mercy of his Guru Vyasdev. So let us all also get this special potency from our spiritual masters, from our gurus, by offering prayers to them. Om Agyantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So this online Tirth Yatra which we are going through, and we have visited so many places, Ahobilam, Guruvayur, Nasik, and so many other places. And today we are going to see one such special place amongst many Tirthas. And going to this Tirth Yatra has been shown by the personal example of various devotees, including Lord himself, so that all of us can understand that how important it is. We hear during the time of Battle of Kurukshetra, again in Mahabharat, Balramji, he went for Tirth Yatra. And while doing Tirth Yatra, he came to Naimisharanya, where there is an incident of Romaharshan Sutta happened. And along with that, we also hear that how in Chaitanya Lila, Nityanand Prabhu personally took Jeev Goswami to the holy places. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself told out of Panchanga Bhakti, one of the very important limbs is going for Tirth Yatra. And following that same mood, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to go to Vrindavan as soon as he took sannyas. Of course, later on he went to Vrindavan and to South India and visited all the holy places over there. So this parampara of going to holy places and revitalizing our energy, recharging our spiritual batteries has been going on since long time. But how to recharge and how to revitalize? Srila Prabhupada says, you cannot go to Vrindavan just by purchasing a train ticket. It's not just physically being present in the dham, but it's being absorbing in the mood of the dham. And that's what it is told to us, that the importance of Tirth Yatra is not in just going there physically, but hearing about the holy places. So this hearing is so important. It is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. What happens when you hear about Lord? So it says, Shunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Suratsatam. So when we hear about Krishna, all the anarthas or kalmashas in the heart gets evaporated or burned away. And then our hearts get clean. It's also said in Bhagavatam only, Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishna parama purushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha. When we hear about Krishna and his pastimes from our ears, what happens? He says two things happen. First is, Bhakti utpadyate pumsam. The bhakti arises in our heart. And second thing is, shoka moha bhayapaha. All these three things vanquishes from our heart. So this is the importance of hearing, and all of us want that there should be entrance of Krishna in our hearts, and we should become Krishna conscious. So going to Tirth Yatras and hearing about the glories of Tirth Yatra is so much glorified. It's also said, Shunvata Shraddhaya Nityam Granatascha Sacheshtitam Kalena na ati dirgena Bhagwan Vishate Hridi. If somebody does swacheshta, and if somebody does little endeavor to hear about Krishna, then what happened? By the power of the devotional service of hearing about Krishna, Bhagavan Vishate Hride. Lord himself chooses the heart of that devotee to reside over there. So this is the importance of hearing about Dham. Even when we have not gone there personally, physically, but when we hear about it, we are there in that Dham. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda Prabhu himself showed us that how important it is that we visit that holy place and hear about the glories of that holy place. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Khirchor Gopinath with all his associates, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally narrated the story of Khirchor Gopinath to all of them. In fact, he was so happy to glorify his Param Guru Madhvendra Puri. Similarly, Nityanand Prabhu, he personally narrated the story of Shakshi Gopal, that Brahmana, how he came and behind him, there is this Shakshi Gopal came and how he gave Shakshi to his promise. So all these pastimes have been narrated personally by Lords. And that is why let us also try to enter into this mood of hearing about one such holy place. Which is that holy place? So it is said that once upon a time, Srila Prabhupada was sitting with his disciples. And one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, he told to Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, I got a question from one person that why only Krishna appears in India, not in America? So as soon as he told this to Prabhupada, Prabhupada told, so what did you answer? Immediately there was one more person over there, Bhagatji. He told, Prabhupada, I would like to tell you the answer, which I heard from my professor 40 years back. And Prabhupada told, yes, please tell. And he told, my professor, when this question was asked, why only in India Krishna takes birth? So my professor brought a big map of world. And after bringing that map, the professor started telling that how when there is a patient and he has got some cut in his hand, and then the report goes to the doctor. Doctor tells, oh, it's a small cut. Let me send my compounder. And doctor sends a compounder. But when the doctor gets a call, my dear doctor, it's a serious case. The patient has got heart attack. Then doctor himself comes running to cure that person. And then that professor told how India is in the region of heart of the world. And how in that India also, Uttar Pradesh, it's again the heart of India. And that is why Krishna personally chooses to appear there. We hear in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is a uprise of adharma and downfall of dharma, I appear. And Krishna chooses to appear in that holy place of Uttar Pradesh. So yes, all of you has guessed right. We are going to discuss about one such holy place of Uttar Pradesh about which Prabhupada is glorified so much. In fact, Uttar Pradesh itself, Prabhupada says that it's a very holy land. Why? Because obviously all of us know, and Prabhupada mentions that there are holy places like Haridwar, Ayodhya, Naimisharanya, Vrindavan, Kashi. All these holy places are there in Uttar Pradesh. In fact, Prabhupada says that there is Prayag, where Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, the confluence of all these rivers are also there. In fact, Prabhupada goes to so much extent that he says in Uttar Pradesh, every 100 miles, you will find a holy place situated on the bank of either Ganga or Yamuna. So today we are going to discuss about one such holy place, which is again in the heart of Uttar Pradesh, and that holy place is Kanpur. And the speciality of Kanpur is that it is situated right on the banks of Ganges. So on the left hand side of Kanpur, there is Mother Ganga, and on the right hand side of Kanpur, there is Mother Yamuna. So Kanpur is situated in the tract of land which is between Ganga and Yamuna. And as Prabhupada used to say, that in Kanpur also there are so many holy places. So let us all go to this holy place of Kanpur and try to see what all are the holy places by the eyes of ears, and try to hear about them. And especially, I would like to start our yatra to Kanpur by telling you the glory of holy name which Kanpur signifies. In fact, we will start and end our yatra by glories of holy name, which is broadcasted in this area of Kanpur. So in the Kanpur area, there is a holy place named Bithur, and that Bithur has a wonderful place which is known as Valmiki Ashram. So as all of us know that how this Valmiki Muni was not a Muni before, he was transformed by the power of Narad Muni. And as the story goes, that how Valmiki's previous name was Ratnakar, and he was a dacoit, he was a hunter, and he was cruel-hearted, very cruel-hearted. And once upon a time, Narad Muni was passing by and he saw, my God, what atrocities this Ratnakar is doing. And out of compassion, Narad Muni's heart melted. And he decided, let us try to deliver this dacoit. And Narad Muni started having a conversation with him that you are doing so much sin. Are your family members going to share this sin? But Ratnakar said, yes, of course, I am after all doing it for them only. Narad Muni told him, go and check. So he went and checked, and all the family members said, no, it's your duty to take care of us. We are not going to share any sins for your sins. And Ratnakar got a realization, and he told, my dear Narad Muni, please tell me how I can be saved from this. So Narad thought, the solution is just to take the holy names of the Lord. And he wanted to tell him, chant the name of Ram. But because of his sinful activities, he could not pronounce the name of Ram. And by the expertise of Narad Muni, he thought of an idea. He told, okay, if you cannot chant Ram, can you chant Mara? And Ratnakar said, yes, that's what I chant every day, Mara, and I killed him. And Mara means to kill. So he started chanting Mara, Ram, 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 Ram. And slowly that Mara became Ram, and Valmiki from Ratnakar, he became Valmiki. And how this Valmiki, it is said that when he started chanting the names of the Lord, so much repentance came in his heart that he wanted to repent for his sinful activities. And for that, he started doing tapasya. And all over his body, ant hill was formed, and his body was completely gone. So that time, seeing his situation, Narad Muni, Brahmaji, they came to bestow mercy upon him, and they told him, now please come back. And they made him come out of that anthill again alive. And that time, because he was born out of anthill, his name became Valmiki. In Sanskrit, Valmiki means one who has taken birth from anthill. So this is the story which signifies the glory of the holy name of the Lord, where such a cruel hunter has got transformed into such a great devotee that in future he was chosen to write the most glorious epic of 24,000 verses named Valmiki Ramayana, which many of us, in fact, whole Uttar Pradesh and so many regions of this northern world, it is a kind of glorified every time. And so many times this Ramayana Katha goes on everywhere. And another significant thing what happened over here is in this Valmiki Ashram, it's from Ramayana only. So this Valmiki Ashram also signifies the holy birthplace of love and Kush. So the story goes back when Lord Ram came back from Lanka after winning Lanka and defeating Ravana. When he came back to Ayodhya, so that time many of his devotees, including Janak Maharaj and Hanuman and all those Vanaras, everybody was there in Ayodhya, and they were celebrating what we call as Diwali. Mood of festivity, happiness all around. And that time, after a period of 1 month, Lord Ram finally decided that everybody should go to their respective workplaces. And that's what happened at the end of Tirth Yatra again, correct? So we are celebrating this 30 month of Purushottam Tirth Yatra. What happened after that? You know, when we go for any yatras, what we do? After 10-15 days, we come back to our places. So same thing Lord Ram told to Janak Maharaj, that Janak Maharaj, I am very grateful to you, indebted to you. So you please kindly go back to Janakpur and rule your kingdom over there. So Janak Maharaj, with his heavy heart, he went over there and Lord Ram bade him farewell. And then Lord Ram turned towards Hanuman and he told Hanuman, thank you very much for helping me in my task of getting Sita from Lanka. And now all of you Vanaras, please go back to Kishkinda. Hanuman told, my dear Lord, we cannot imagine a life without you. Now you have won our hearts, we cannot go anywhere else. So Lord Ram told, no, Hanuman, it's my order that you go back to Kishkinda and take care of that kingdom. And you can ask any blessings if you wish. So Hanuman, accepting it as an order of Lord Ram, told, okay, my dear Lord, if you want me to go, I'll go. But I want one benediction. Lord told, yes, please ask Hanuman, what benediction do you want? I'm ready to give everything. And that time, Hanuman told, my dear Lord, I want this benediction that till that time, there is a life air inside my body. Till that time, I should be kept on chanting your glories. I should be kept on chanting your name, holy name, Ram, 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 Ram. And only when the life air in my body leaves, that time I should be stopped chanting your holy name. But as soon as after leaving my body, I go to upper planets. So there also I should be kept on hearing your holy name. And all the celestial people should be just singing your glories. And all throughout my life, I would like to just hear about your glories. Seeing this kind of disposition of Hanuman, Lord Ram's heart melted. What kind of devotee is he? So much love and devotion he is having to hear about me. He is so much satisfied by hearing about me. So when we are separated from somebody, we can actually feel the presence of that person by hearing about him. So Lord Ram became so happy, he bestowed this benediction. Along with that, Lord Ram added, my dear Hanuman, your devotion is so much heart melting to me. It's heart touching that I give you one more benediction. That till the time my glories will be chanted in this universe, your stories will also be chanted in this universe. So Lord compared his glories to the stories of Hanuman. And that is why today when we are discussing about Lord Ram, we have to tell about Hanuman. And after bidding a farewell to Hanuman, Lord Ram, he met Mother Sita next day. And that time Mother Sita was pregnant. And she was carrying a child. And that time Lord Ram asked Mother Sita, my dear Sita, today is such a pleasant day. Everybody is so happy. I would like to know, what is your wish? Please tell me what is your wish. I would like to fulfill that wish. And Mother Sita, seeing a pleasant atmosphere, she told, my dear Lord, I have a wish. And she said, I am missing those golden days when we were living in the hermitages of the sages. I would like to go back to those places and worship and feel the experience of that hermitage kind of environment. And Lord Ram said, so be it. Tomorrow only your wish should be fulfilled. And Sita became very happy. And that Lord Ram came to his Rajya Sabha and his assembly hall where all the ministers were sitting, everybody was there. So that time, Lord Ram called Bhadra, his chief minister. And he started asking that Bhadra that please kindly narrate me the news of my kingdom Ayodhya. I want to know everything. And Bhadra started narrating that how, my dear Lord, everybody in Ayodhya are very happy. In fact, they are singing your glories. Their mouth full of glories of yours winning a battle over Lanka and defeating Ravana and getting back Mother Sita. And that is how they're just celebrating from last so many days. And everybody is very happy. And after saying this, Bhadra, he put down his head. And after putting down his head, he was quiet. And Lord Ram understood. He told Bhadra, please tell me everything. Do not hide anything from me. I want to know everything. I want to know the good news. I want to know the bad news of my kingdom. Please narrate. And Bhadra, on the order of Lord Ram, started telling that how some people in Ayodhya, when he was traveling, he heard them saying that how can Lord Ram accept Mother Sita? How it can happen that when Sita was kidnapped by Ravana by her hand, and that Sita was made to sit on the lap of Ravana forcefully by him, and that Sita stayed at the house of Ravana in Lanka for a year, still Lord Ram accepted Sita as if she is a very pure lady, she is a very chaste lady. How can Lord Ram do this? And as soon as Bhadra narrated this story, so Lord Ram's heart became very heavy and he was about to cry. And he told, how these people can think like this? When I brought Sita from Lanka, she gave her test, Agni Pariksha, to prove her chastity, to prove her purity. Still, again, these people are not believing in that, and they're telling and they're doubting the chastity of Sita Mata. But still, Lord Ram said, I am a king, and people will follow my example. As it is said, says in Bhagavad Gita, Yadyad achariti shreshtas, tattat eva tarojana. So whatever great people they do, common men follow them. So Lord Ram told, if they do not have faith upon the leader, if they doubt the character of king, then what kind of dharma these people will follow? So to set an example of an ideal person, as you know that Lord Ram is Maryada Purushottam, so I must take some action. And he adjourned the court for that day and he called upon Lakshman. And he took Lakshman to his room, and Lakshman could understand that something is very much, touching the heart of Lord Ram. And Lord Ram, he told Lakshman, you were there when that Bhadra gave the news. So now it's my order to you that you please take Sita with you tomorrow only to the hermitage of nearby ashram of Valmiki Muni and leave her over there. Lakshman said, what, my dear Lord, how we can do that? Just because some people said, Lord said, no, I have to set an example. And just yesterday, Sita expressed her desire that she wants to go to the hermitages of the sages. And that is why I want that you please take her over there and tell her to stay there. And Lakshman, taking it as an order of a king, as an elder brother, he said, okay. And next day, the preparations were done and everybody was ready. Lakshman and Sumantra were supposed to escort Mother Sita to this holy place of Valmiki Ashram. And there, they started walking. When they started walking, Mother Sita, she saw some inauspicious omens happening. Her right eye is blinking, and other inauspicious sign. She could understand that something inauspicious is going to happen. And then when they reached almost 125 miles away from Ayodhya to this place of Valmiki Ashram in the region of Bithur in Kanpur, that time Lakshman on the banks of Ganges told Mother Sita. And that is how this place, Valmiki Ashram, became a place of Mother Sita. Lakshman told that, my dear mother, I don't want, but it's an order of Lord Ram that you please stay here only and don't come back. And when he told this order to Mother Sita, although it was very heart paining for her, but she smiled and she said, if that is the way I can serve my master best, I will accept that as a blessing on me. And she decided to stay in this region. And crying, she fell down on the ground, and Lakshman and Sumantra started going back. And meanwhile, Valmiki Muni, by his transcendental powers, he came to know that Mother Sita has come and she is pregnant. She is carrying a children of Lord Ram. And he sends his disciples to please go there and bring her. And after bringing her, take care of her very nicely. So this is the ashram of Valmiki Muni, where she stayed and gave birth to Love and Kush. So this is the same place where Love Kush were born, and after taking birth, Mother Sita, she was taking care of raising of her children also in the absence of Lord Ram. And because of that, Valmiki Muni became a guru to all these both students. And he narrated everything to taught everything to this Love and Kush, including the vidyas of all the archery and everything, and one very special thing, the recitation of Ramayana. So this Love and Kush, they were expert in singing, and while singing, they especially became expert in singing the glories of Lord Ram, that is Ramayana. And then eventually, after around 12 years, when Lord Ram decided to do Ashwamedh Yajna for whole world peace, so that time he invited all the sages, as it is says in Valmiki Ramayana. He invited all the sages and he invited Valmiki Muni, and Valmiki Muni reached over there along with his many disciples, including Love and Kush. And after reaching to Ayodhya, Valmiki Muni told and ordered Love and Kush that please go and recite this narrations of Ramayana to all the Brahmins of Ayodhya. And they went over there, they started narrating this Ramayana to all the Brahmins of Ayodhya. And it is said that Lord Ram also came to know about these narrations. And he personally came out from his kingdom, his court, and he sat down while his sons were narrating Ramayana. And Lord Ram's heart also melted after hearing the glories of himself through the mouth of his sons, Love and Kush. So this is a place which marks the birth of Love and Kush, that is Valmiki Ashram. And also in this Valmiki Ashram, it is said that it's a place where Sita Mata disappeared from this world. So how we know, we hear the story of how Janak Maharaj got Mother Sita through the land. So she was like a daughter of earth. So similarly, while at the time of her departure, the earth cracked open and a chariot came out from the earth, and she sat down in that chariot and disappeared. So in various kalpa it happens at various places, and in one of the kalpa it happened in the same place of Valmiki Ashram. And so there is a place named Sita Mani where Mother Sita went down the earth. And that is why people over here, they don't call Sita as Sita. They call her as Janaki. In fact, all of you will be very happy to know that at our ISKCON temple in Kanpur, we have the deities of Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, and they have a very special name. This name is given to them by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and His Grace Devki Nandan Prabhu. So when the temple was getting inaugurated, so they both were thinking what to give. So they gave a very special name because this is kind of the place which is Maika, the maternal uncle's, maternal parents' place of Mother Sita, because she went back to earth in this place only. So they called the deity's name as Janki Vallabh Lakshman Hanuman. So this is a place where Mother Sita went back to the ground and she was known as Janki. So this whole place of Valmiki Ashram is known by so many wonderful pastimes of Mother Sita, Love and Kush. And after the place of Valmiki, let us all go to a very another significant place, which is also again in the region of Bithur in Kanpur. That place is known as Brahmavarth. So what is this Brahmavarth and what is the significance of this Brahmavarth? So Prabhupada at one place he says that Brahmavarth is an area where the glories of Lord is glorified or broadcasted, and many sacrifices are performed over there. So this is a land on the banks of Ganges which is in that region of Brahmavarth. In fact, to tell the significance of this area, it starts from the life of Brahmaji. So it is says that how when Brahmaji, every day morning he gets up and he sees it's all mess and he wants to create again the universe back. And he creates the universe, and in the night when he sleeps, again the whole universe gets destroyed and he creates it back again. So every day morning when Brahmaji wants to create the universe, he has to get up and do tapasya. So this Brahmavarth is a place which signifies a point where Brahmaji did his tapasya. As Brahmavarth is known to be a place of sacrifices and a lot of austerities. So this is a place where Brahmaji did tapasya, and a khuti, a nail from his paduka is still, you can find it over there on the banks of Ganges. And that is why this place is known as Brahmavarth. Because Brahmaji did tapasya. Also, in Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, there is a description which comes which says, Prajapati sutasmaran manur vikhyata mangala brahmavartan yo adhivasan shashti saptanuvam mahim. So it says the glories of Brahmavat, and it says that in this Brahmavat area, Swayambhuva Manu, he was ruling the whole world through this area of Brahmavat. In fact, it is says the story goes back that's how Swayambhuva Manu was a king of whole world, and he was ruling. The ruling point for him was the center point from where Brahmaji also did tapasya, that is Brahmavat. And going ahead in the lineage of Swayambhu Manu, we find that he got two sons by the union with Shatarupa. And two sons were Uttanpad and Priyavart. So Priyavart, of course, he went on becoming a brahmachari initially, but Uttanpad, he took up the kingdom, and the capital of his kingdom was also this Brahmavart. Being a center of the universe, he was ruling everywhere. And this Uttanpad, while he was ruling, so there comes a famous story in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just see how in the 3rd canto there is a mention of a Brahmavart place where Swayambhuva Manu was ruling. In the 4th canto is a mention of Dhruva Maharaj and kingdom of Uttanpad, which is in this region of Brahmavart only. And then we later on see how in 5th canto and 6th canto also there is a mention of Brahmavart. So in this story of Dhruva Maharaj, when he was ruling, and one day he wanted to sit on the lap of his father, Uttanpad. And his stepmother, Surichi, she denied. She said, you cannot sit on the lap of your father until and unless you do not take a birth from my womb. And seeing that, Dhruv Maharaj became outraged. Full of anger, he went to his mother Suniti and asked what I should do. And Suniti told her that probably your wish of getting a kingdom greater than your grandfather can only be fulfilled by Vishnu, and sages find Vishnu in the forest. So that time, Dhruv Maharaj, from this area of Brahmavat, there is a place named Dhruvatila, where there is a temple of Dhruv Maharaj. So it is believed that Dhruv Maharaj has taken birth in this region, and his childhood pastimes have happened in that place. And from here only this pastime of how Uttanpad, not allowing Dhruva to sit on his lap, and Dhruva became angry and he went to Madhuvan in Vrindavan for doing tapasya, where he got darshan of the Lord, and then the story goes further. So this Leela signifies here happening at Dhruvatila. So this Dhruvatila is a place where this Leela is supposed to happen. In fact, about Dhruv Maharaj, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Dhruv Maharaj's story is a story of a very successful man. And you know why Prabhupada says that? Prabhupada says it's because he says any person's life is supposed to be successful when two things happens. What are those two things? So Prabhupada says when that person gets a materially happy life while living and a liberation after leaving this body. So same thing happened with Dhruv Maharaj. When he came back after doing tapasya, he was accepted by his mother and father both, and he ruled the kingdom for 36,000 years very nicely. And after that, leaving his body, so actually came back here again to Brahmavat region for ruling his kingdom. And then when he went back, he became Polsar, and he got, of course, as we know, how he became a great devotee of the Lord eventually. So this is a place of Brahmavat which signifies that. And also along with that, we are talking about Brahmavat being a center of the universe and a place of great austerity and sacrifice. We have a very special incident happening here of Prithu Maharaj, where Prithu Maharaj was planning to do 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, and he had just finished 99 Ashwamedh Yagyas, and one person became envious. One person became insecure, and that is Indra. And how we hear that how Indra came and started stealing the horse which is meant for sacrifice of 100 Ashwamedh Yagya. And then eventually how Brahmaji came and he pacified Prithu Maharaj and chastised Indra, and then how the pastime goes. So that horse sacrifice was also being performed here in this region of Brahmavat. This mention comes in Bhagavatam itself. And along with that, we also hear that in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, another special pastimes, which is Lord Rishabdev himself giving instructions to his son in the fifth canto, fifth chapter, the elaborate instructions, the famous instructions, in which it is told that how this human form of life one should not waste in sense gratification, but rather try to gain bhakti so that he can cross over this ocean of material existence. So these instructions of Lord Rishabdev to his sons were also given in this region of Brahmavart. Prabhupada writes in the purport that this region of Brahmavart is a very big region which extends from Punjab and in the region of North India. That's what Prabhupada says. So this Brahmavat region is a very big, but the center of that Brahmavat region is in this area of Bithur. So that is all these pastimes, various pastimes happen. In fact, one more pastime happened in this region, which we will tell you at the end of this Tirth Yatra, because that also signifies a very importance of the holy name in this region. So after this pastime of Brahmavat, let us go to another holy place, which is nearby only, and that is at the 80 kilometer far from Kanpur. It's known as Kalpi. So as I was telling you that Kanpur is surrounded by so many holy places, and in between there are so many holy places. So one of that holy places is Kalpi. Now what is this Kalpi? So it's a very famous and very prominent place for all of us, because this holy place marks the birth of Vedvyas. So this is the place where Vyasdev took birth, and the story goes way back again. So there was a fisherman, his name was Vasu, and he was having a daughter named Satyavati. And because she was always into fishing and everything related to that, so because of that, what happens is that her body started smelling like fish. So her name became Matsya Gandha, the one whose body is having a fragrance of fish. So one day, this Matsya Gandha, she was rowing a boat, and Parashar Muni came to that region, and he wanted to cross the river. Now this Kalpi, as I was telling you, one side on the left hand side of Kanpur is Ganga, on the right hand side of Kanpur there is Yamuna. So this Kalpi is situated on the bank of Yamuna. So the Yamuna was flowing at this place, and Parashar Muni wanted to cross Yamuna. So he was having no other option than to board this boat, which was driven by Satyavati. And while she was driving this boat, Parashar Muni in between, he started getting a lusty desire and thought after seeing the beauty of Satyavati. And he decided that I should have a union with her. And by the special arrangement of the Lord, whole atmosphere became foggy. And by the Shakti of Parashar Muni, he created an island, which it says that it was from one side it was surrounded by river Yamuna, and from another side it was surrounded by river Saraswati. So still people say that there is a river Saraswati which flows from there, which is invisible, just like it is not visible at Prayagraj, Allahabad, where Kumbh Mela happens. So similarly, it's not visible, but it's just flowing. So in between those two rivers, he created an island and had a union with Satyavati. And after that union, Satyavati became very much intense. In intention, she was thinking, my God, my chastity has lost. But then Parashar Muni said, my dear lady, please don't worry. Your chastity has not been lost, because it was a special arrangement of the Lord. And the proof is that the outcome of our union will be literal incarnation of the Lord, named Vyasadev. And he will born to do great benefit for whole human society and for many generations to come. And that is why we know that how Vyasadeva, when he appeared, so his name is Ved Vyas, because Ved Vyas, he expanded the Vedas. So this temple also signifies with the idols or deities of Parashar Muni, Mother Satyavati, and a little Vyasdev sitting on the lap of his mother. So this is that holy place of Kalpi where Vyasdev was born. And after Vyasdev was born, so he roamed all around, and then finally decided to divide the Vedas and write it down. So as we know the story, how for writing it, he was thinking that, I am recollecting it so fast, so I need some writer who is a very fast writer. He can match up with my speed, you know. So probably that time this online speaking and transcribing system might not be there existent, but still he could find out one person. That person is Ganesh ji. So there is a tree which signifies the that shape of Ganesh ji, who is writing all the scriptures down. So as Vyasdev narrated all the Vedas divided into four, and then furthermore, all those things were written down by Ganesh in this region of Kalpi itself. So that is the significance of this area of Kalpi. And not far from Kalpi is again another holy place. And the name of that place is Rasadhan. इसको राजधान भी बोलते हैं. So this, why it is known as Rasadhan or Rajadhan? Because this is a place which has connections way back to Vrindavan. So the story goes that how once upon a time, on the periphery of Govardhan, there is one famous place named Mansi Ganga, which has a relationship with again the pastimes of Radha Kund and Sham Kund and so many other things. So at that place, the gopis, Vraj gopis, they were feeling intense separation from Krishna. And out of intense separation, so they wanted to pacify, they wanted to do something. So they started call out the holy names of the Lord. They started call out Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Hari Dev. So we should learn from gopis, you know. When we feel separation from Lord or his devotees, we can call out the names of the Lord. So the gopis started calling out the names of Lord Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Hari Dev. And there in front of them appeared a self-manifested Swayambhu deity of Lord Krishna, who is having an age of 7 years, and in his one hand he is holding a poster of holding a Govardhan, and in his another hand he is holding a flute. As soon as gopis saw that form, they became so happy. All their grief, all their separation went away, and they became again immersed in the glories of Lord Krishna. And they started worshipping Lord Krishna over there. In fact, it is says that that deity is so much glorified. In fact, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Govardhan Parikrama, in front of that deity, he loudly called out Haridev, 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 and chanted and danced over there. So that deity is so much signifying the mood of gopis and how Krishna became merciful to the gopis. But eventually, as we know, Mughals attacked to the area of Vrindavan, Vraj, and they wanted to destroy the deities. So many deities were transported to Jaipur. So similarly, this Haridev deity was also transported to Jaipur. And in fact, after that, this deity was missing from Jaipur itself. People were having no clue where the deity is. In fact, the present deity at Mansi Ganga in Govardhan is a deity which was carved by Vajranabh, and that deity is being worshipped. But the original deity, the self-manifested deity, is missing from there. And that deity was transported to this Rasadhan eventually. And currently there is a temple where the same original self-manifested deity of Haridev is present over there, where he is worshipped in his beautiful form of one hand holding a Govardhan and another hand holding a flute. And this is the same deity which appeared because of intense separation of gopis from Lord Krishna. So this is a place, Rasadhan, which is nearby Kanpur and which has a very significance in the life of all of us, especially Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And after this, towards the end of our Katha, as I told you, that we are going to discuss the glories of the holy name, the significance of the holy name. So in the starting, we heard about Valmiki Muni's transformation in his ashram. And now we are going to hear about another holy place. The name of that place mentions in Srimad Bhagavatam in 6th canto. See, in 3rd canto, the place is mentioned as Brahmavat, which is in Kanpur. In 4th canto, again, about Dhruvatila, the place where Dhruv Maharaj and pastime happened, Brahmavat, it's mentioned in 4th canto. 5th canto, Rishabdev's teachings to his son, that happened at Brahmavat, which is in Kanpur mentions. And now in 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a connection. And there is a famous shloka which talks about this place named Kannauj or Kanyakubj. The shloka says, कन्या कुब्जे दुजा कश्चित दासी पतिर अजामिला नाम न नष्ट सदाचारो dasya samsarga dushita. So this verse says that how there was a son, you know, of a brahmana named Ajamil, and how eventually by the sangha of a dasi putri or a prostitute, he destroyed all his brahmanical qualities, and all his brahmanical qualities were destroyed. But later on, this pastime is very significant actually, है ना? That how later on this Ajamila at the age of 80 also gave a birth to a child, and he kept the name of that child to be Narayan. And when later on he was about to die and he was seeing Yamdutas coming to take him, he shouted the name Narayana. And that time Vishnu Duta came and they rescued Ajamil from the Yamapash of the Yamadutas. And that time Ajamila saw the conversation happening between Vishnu Duta and Yamadutas, and seeing that conversation, his heart got transformed and he decided to go to Haridwar for doing his future tapasya and meditation on the Lord. So this pastime appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, telling about the glories of the holy name, that just by a nama bhas chanting also one can get so much benefit of chanting the holy names of the Lord. So this story was also quoted by Haridas Thakur when he was in Chandpol and he wanted to establish the glories of the chanting of the holy name. How powerful are even the namabhas effect of chanting the glories of the holy name is so big that one gets liberation and protection from Yamdutas. So seeing that story, Haridas proved. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again used to recite this story of Ajamil. So this pastime happened in this nearby forest of Kanpur named Kannauj, which was known as Kanyagupj at that time. And now, of course, there are just forests because Ajamila was not having a temple made for himself, and he just went to Haridwar. But the place is a significance of propagation of this Yuga Dharma. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam. Kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha. So this pastime of Ajamila happened in this place of Kannauj. And Prabhupada writes one place that nowadays this Kannauj place is also famous for scented perfumes. So the scented perfumes are very famous in Kannauj nowadays. And now, after discussing about the glories of the holy name, let us see one more holy place, which is again in the heart of a city of Kanpur, without which a holy place does not remain so holy, because that is a significant role of that devotee of the Lord who protects that dham. Yes, all of you guessed it right. It's a dham palak and a dham rakshak who takes care of the dham and maintains the holiness of the dham. And that place in Kanpur is known as Anandeshwar Mahadev Temple. So it's in the heart of the city of Kanpur, also known as Parmat, which is having a shivling of Anandeshwar Mahadev. So it is situated on the banks of the Ganges, a very beautiful and big temple, very famous temple in Kanpur. Lot many people visit. So many festivals are celebrated like Shivratri and others. And the story goes way back in times of Mahabharata. So it says in Mahabharata time, in this region, Karna used to come and worship Lord Shiva. And afterwards, what happened? Some people saw that there is a cow named Anandi. And this cow, she goes to a particular place and she showers her milk over there repeatedly. So then people, they used to see that how this cow again and again every day comes and showers the milk. So one day people started excavating it and they started digging. And while digging, they came across a Shivlinga. And this was a very special Shivling. And they started digging more. And after digging, they wanted to make a temple for Lord Shiva. And for that, they started taking out that Shivlinga out. But it was so heavy that nobody could lift it. And finally, they decided that Lord Shiva wants to have his temple there only. and he want to have its temple established there. So they made a beautiful temple over there, which is known as presently Anandeshwar Mahadev. So he is acting as a dhampal of this area of Kanpur, which has Bithur and so many holy places as we discussed. And this Anandeshwar Mahadev temple is a very special temple which has 100 bells ringing simultaneously many a times. In fact, for us it is a place of very great significance because Prabhupada, when Prabhupada wanting to fulfill the instruction of his spiritual master before going to America, and in fulfilling his instruction of spiritual master, he founded League of Devotees in Jhansi. So for getting the devotees admitted in League of Devotees, Prabhupada was roaming many places, and one of that place which he came was Kanpur. So Kanpur Prabhupada came, stayed near this Anandeshwar Mahadev temple, and in this temple he used to give many satsang programs, telling people about the importance of Krishna consciousness. In fact, it is says that Prabhupada, even before that, he stayed 2 years in Kanpur. 2 years in Kanpur. And one incident Prabhupada narrates in one of his stories, Prabhupada says that he is talking about the attachment of people in this world. How great the bodily attachment is. In fact, this kind of attachment is not only found in human beings, but also is found in animals. So to narrate that, Prabhupada says that once I was living in Kanpur and I was having a home and there was a window. The window was having bars of iron. And just outside a window, there was a mother monkey. She was sitting with a child monkey. And this child monkey was very small. So he somehow or other slipped inside the window through the bars. And he came inside the room and he started walking. And mother monkey, because she was not able to come inside because the bar size was too small and she was very big, she started shouting, howling, somehow or other wanting to get the child back. And Prabhupada says, that time I saw that how there is an affection, strong affection between that mother monkey and the child monkey. She was feeling so much affection for her son that she wanted to get her back. Similar kind of affection is there present throughout the world between living entities. And because of that, living entity is not able to develop affection for the Supreme Lord Krishna. And of course, in later on, when Prabhupada was planning to establish this League of Devotees and other places, so again, Prabhupada narrates another story that how Prabhupada was escorted in 1962 by the governor of UP, by the governor of UP from Lucknow to Kanpur. And that escort, he tells that how there was in front, there were bikes and big cars, and he was sitting in a car and he was escorted. So Prabhupada was narrating that. So in fact, fulfilling that vision of Prabhupada, it says that how when Prabhupada was preaching in America, so that time in 1968 when Prabhupada went over there, so he was already having a connection in Kanpur as he was coming to preach over here. So he was writing to various of his connections that I want to establish a temple over there, please help me. And one family named Singhania family, they showed interest in Prabhupada to make a temple there at New York City. And they were ready to sponsor money for building a temple, but somehow or other that time, the government systems were not so set right that they could transfer such a huge amount of money into a foreign currency into another country. And because of which Prabhupada could not get money, he tried through all government things, but nothing happened and he could not make use of that money. So that Singhania family, in remembrance of not making that temple in New York City, they made the temple here in Kanpur. So that temple is still famous, known as JK Temple. And Prabhupada mentions it. He says that there is a Dwarkadish temple in Kanpur where they have a very good rule. What is the rule? So a good rule Prabhupada says for our society, which we should try to apply, is he says that all the family members are supposed to come and attend morning aarti in that temple. And if they miss, they have to pay fine of around 5 rupees. In fact, even the children have to pay the fine. Prabhupada mentions it like that. So this Kanpur area, since then Prabhupada was visioning as a preaching place. And later on in 1970s, Mr. Bhargav offered a 15-acre land for making a temple to Srila Prabhupada in Kanpur. And Prabhupada wrote to his disciples, Gurudas Prabhu, Akshanand Prabhu, that how all of you should go out, and preach and make a temple. In fact, Prabhupada says you should certainly have a temple over there in Kanpur. You should certainly have a center in Kanpur. Prabhupada says Kanpur is the third most important city after Kolkata and Bombay. That time Prabhupada used to say. And fulfilling the instructions and desire of Prabhupada, on October 3rd, 2014, one of the representative of the Prabhupada, by the help of all other devotees and His Grace Devkinandan Prabhu, he fulfilled that desire by opening a very marvelous, beautiful temple. And in fact, the beauty is it is built on the same 15 acre of land which Mr. Bhargav offered to Srila Prabhupada in 1970s. So this is the same region of that temple where Mr. Bhargav offered it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wanted to build a temple over there. In fact, Prabhupada, he showed the great map also of how this temple activity should be. He wrote to Loknath Swami Maharaj that how there should be padyatras going inside the villages from this temple, and they should go there, preach, and come back. He also wrote to many of his disciples that how he wants that there should be book distribution happening, how there should be food for life happening from this temple, and how this temple should be flooded with so many youngsters. So, by that grace of Srila Prabhupada, today we have a very beautiful temple built in an area of 15 acres of ISKCON, where we have the deities of, as I was telling you, Janki, Vallabh, Lakshman, Hanuman, and we have a deities of Radha, Madhav, Lalita, Vishaka, and also we have a deities of Nitai, Gaur, Sundar, spreading the glories of Srila Prabhupada throughout. And this temple is surrounded by so many holy places. In fact, it is built in the area of Bithur only, which the story we heard just in the beginning. And so we would like to invite all of you to come and experience the holiness of this holy place, which is surrounded by so many holy places nearby and very close by, just like Naimisharanya, Ayodhya, Prayagraj, Banaras, and Vrindavan. So all these holy places are there surrounded around Kanpur, and we all can come and take benefit and shelter of Srila Prabhupada's place here. And by this, we would like to come to the end of our Tirth Yatra. As none of us wants to come to an end, but it has to come to end. But we would like to take the glories of the Dham in our mind to wherever we are, and like to spread it over there. So it says Dham Yatra, it doesn't end over by ending of the Yatra. Rather, it continues where we keep on spreading the glories, where to wherever we go of the Dham. So I would like to request and invite all of you to please visit this holy Tirtha along with you and your family and experience the divinity at Kanpur. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
RG Media YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe.